While he does that, hi everyone, we're the PISP team. So I'm Lewis, we have Chetan from Google and Sam from Motorsports. And there's a few other people who've been working behind the scenes who will name drop at the end. But yeah, we're just here to give a short update on the 3PPI or PISP workstream for the last 3 months. So if you head to the next slide, please, Sam. So just very high level, we're just going to talk about what we managed to get done and our set of goals that we set ourselves in the last PI, an update on the stuff that's going on in progress, and then just the roadmap. And this is our long list. I think this list grows every time, which is kind of cool to see, of the different people who have contributed and have been a part of this work. So thank you, everyone. It's good to see this growing. Was this you, Sam, or was that me? I can't remember.
Yeah, so let me give a high-level overview of this so that you can go into the details. Thanks, Luis. Thanks,
cool.
everyone. Yeah, as Luis was stating, we look at the status. Even before that, thanks, Luis, for covering all the contributors, and it's good to see many contributors from Google, Chetan, Cian, JJ, Kwan, and of course Nizam and Chetan again. And then we have Georgi, Luis, and Michael, of course, along with Kevin and others who've been contributing. Luis and Michael heavily on the AP side, but also on the designs, and wanted to thank them again. So Luis, I'm thinking you can go into the details on this one, but before that, let me cover the high-level status of where we are. Thanks to everyone, especially Luis, and then the CCP and the special interest groups, and Michael, who have worked very hard to get the version 1.0, a production quality version of the third-party API published. The good thing is that it's been validated with the implementation and end-to-end test. So the major milestone we've reached in the last PI was that we have the third-party payment initiation services. We use the word 3PPI and PISP, payment initiation service provider, interchangeably, but trying to stick to 3PPI in this presentation. So these have been integrated upstream with the main Mojaloop releases. We have the components we call Helm charts for 3PPI services and end-to-end tests using the testing toolkit that have been merged into master branches. There are the last two items here: productionizing, profiling third-party services, and design for a Google standard payments GSP API adapter. These are currently in progress, while the first three are now complete. We have Luis giving some details on where we are with the current features, and maybe Michael adding a few comments on the Google standards payments adapter design. And then we'll go to Chetan to give exciting updates about roadmap and close things off and open up Q&A. Luis, over to you. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So this was a big, probably the biggest thing that we managed to achieve in this PI was integrating all the PISP stuff or 3PPI stuff back upstream with Mojaloop's releases. That included QA process and deploying this stuff onto our sandbox environment, as well as having a short document on how to install Mojaloop on the deployment guide by turning on, or how to install the assessor features by just turning on a few flags when you're installing from Helm. Yep, next one, thanks, Sam. Were we going to look at the goal board, or we'll do that at the end?
Yeah, go ahead. I think we have the goal board on. Where is that?
I thought it was a bit back a bit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, we initially had this goal for our last PI, but the main 4 things was to do the production and profiles. Sam was saying, write an integration guide for DFSPs. We've got one for our PISPs to onboard. That was part of the MAS CDBC hackathon work that we wrote that. get payment managers supporting DFSPs, and then the Google Standard Payments API adapter. Now, we had not many resources for the last PI, and we've been kind of waiting for a few other people to be available and things to kick off. So we're actually going to renew these goals, most of them for the next PI as well, and we'll be sharing about that kind of a bit more at the end of the presentation. But moving on to just a high-level overview of the issues that we completed, just a screenshot from our goal tracker or our ticket tracker on Zen Hub to show these are the things that we've got finished. There's a few more tickets that are outstanding, and some that are in review as well. I think that's all I had to say on that, Sam. So maybe I'll hand over to yourself.
Thank you, Lewis. Michael, do you have any comments on the work currently in progress? If not, we can pass on to Chetan.
No, nothing to add at the moment.
Thank you, Chetan. Over to you.
Thanks, Michael, Lewis, and Sam. So in terms of roadmap, what we plan to cover today is a little bit of an overview on what Google Standard Payments is all about, and then in terms of the 3 PPI phased approaches on the 4 deliverables that we plan to implement over the coming cycle. So when we speak about the Google Standard Payments, so these are a set of APIs provided to the payment provider companies, fundamentally to integrate their services and enable them in the Google ecosystem. But now what we are doing is that we are enhancing this and working with the community and the team to enable third-party payment initiators and enable their services on the Mojaloop hub. And the way we are planning to do this is doing it in the phase 3 of the PISP work, in which we have a few key deliverables. The first one, as we see, is to productionalize the 3 PPI services. We'll be going into the detail of this in the coming slides. We plan to implement an open source GSP adapter. The key part of this is that the GSP adapter would be completely open source and will be hosted in the repository of Mojaloop, which will then be accessible for any third-party payment initiator to use and connect with the Mojaloop hub and enable financial services for poor in the real sense. Apart from that, we also plan to enhance the payment manager for the FSPs as well as the 3 PPIs. And lastly, a lot of documentation to actually give like clear way and path for users to make use of the 3 PPI module. Sam, next slide, please. So
Is it this one or?
thank you. So the way we have planned this coming cycle is that we have a few key epics that we plan to deliver. The first part over here is where we plan to work on productionalizing and making the third-party payment initiation services as a part of IAC code and providing it over in a complete integrated format to the developer team. The second one is where we plan to integrate the Google Standard payment approach. And in this Google Standard payments adapter, the way we are planning to do it is that we plan to have a complete adapter being created with an end-to-end integration testing and make sure that this is accessible and available to a lot of third-party initiators. Apart from that, there is documentation that we plan to have by the end of this cycle. When we speak of documentation, it is primarily in terms of 4 aspects. The first one is to have like a clear documentation for onboarding the FSPs as in terms of using the 3 PPI services. The second one is just for the hub operators as well as the schema operators. The third one is in terms of configuration and schema guidelines. And the fourth one is for the developer community if they want to enhance and use this further. The other aspect that we plan to do over here is in terms of payment manager. We have plans to enhance the payment manager with 3 API modules, third-party API modules, both for the DFSPs as well as for the PISPs. And a bonus part that we are trying to work towards is to have like the ISO 2022 messaging standards implemented and supported for the 3 PPI module. What we are not planning to do at this stage is a specific spec change to the GSP adapter. This is something that we plan to cover, but would probably be beyond reach for this cycle. But hopefully in the coming the cycle after that is when we'll be able to do this completely. We are dependent on the community, and we are looking forward for community contributors and resources. So please come join us and help us cross the finish line, especially in these goals that we have set for this cycle. In terms of success, a stretch goal that we have defined for ourselves, especially for this cycle, is that we have a complete deployment in terms of a test environment with 1 3PPI and 1 DSP. And if we are able to do that, that would be like a great achievement, a stretch goal. But at the very minimum, we plan to have like an end-to-end testing with the 3 PPI features and support for FSP as well as PISP. Steve, I see, have you identified a second PISP to try and test? Not at this stage. We are having the conversations. We have started the conversations and we're trying to figure out this process. But at this point of time, we are open to like folks who are interested and companies and startups who would actually be willing to partner in this effort. Next slide, Sam. So yes, we are looking for any sort of inputs. If you would like to join us, please do come in. We have a high-level breakout session on this work stream tomorrow. If you're interested to contribute or even have thoughts or plans to or ideas, please join us. It is all valued. We also plan to have like a weekly 3 PPI work stream. And if you have any suggestions or any sort of inputs, please do join us. We'll update you all once the timing and the slot is finalized. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Sam.
Thanks. We did not thank you, Simeon. I think that is the prepared presentation we have. We have sufficient interest on this topic, as you all know. But Louis touched on this. We are renewing our goals because in the last PI we did not have the impetus or the funding or resourcing needed. So this PI will be having an intense PI from a PISP feature perspective. So we exciting times ahead. We look forward to the presentation and demos we'll have in the April community event when that is finalized. And unless Louis, Michael, Chetan and JJ have no comments, we'll pass on to you to open up the floor for any Q&A.
Yeah, nothing more from me. Thanks, everyone.
Nothing from me either. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks. I'll just pause and see if there's any questions. You can ask questions in 2 ways. Just go ahead and unmute if you've got a question and voice it, or you can type it in the chat and we'll have it responded to. Just looking through the chat list. Philip?
Hello.
Yes,
hello.
Go ahead, Philip.
This is Philip. Yeah, so I want to know how ready is this implementation, because it's something I want to push in my country, the Gambia. And how similar is it to the UPI system of India?
Louis, can you take the first question and maybe Michael the second one?
Yeah, sure. So it's ready in the sense, it's ready for, I would say, sandbox testing and verifying with the PISP user. In order to go to production with it, we have that outstanding epic item around productionizing and profiling, so we can understand, when people are building out a data center, what are the requirements for getting this running and all of those sorts of things. But well and truly ready for engaging and supporting a sandbox deployment, which we do have on our radar, I'm sure. And sorry, did you? So what was your name, sir?
Philip. Philip Holbrook.
Philip. Did you say from the
Yes.
Gambia?
Yes, because I would like
Oh.
Gambia to be a pilot project for you
Yeah.
guys. Like to, I
Oh,
would love
I
it
have
if
a
you come and
special
pilot
place in
here.
my heart for the Gambia.
Oh, please, I would love you to come and pilot here.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, please follow up. We can continue this conversation as well.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Sorry, Simeon. Michael, can you touch on the second part about the similarity with UPI? Any comments on that?
Yes, outline comments. So UPI is a 3PPI only service. So there are no direct connections in UPI between the account holding institutions and the customers. They all go through third-party payment initiators, even if those third-party payment initiators are in fact banks. We intend to operate a hybrid system where banks and mobile money systems can have their own end user applications, but we also allow third parties to come in and to set up relationships between their customers and the institutions that hold those customers' accounts. So essentially, it's a much more dynamic and fluid system than is UPI. So UPI works, all as a block. It all works in the same way. Whereas we're trying to implement a hybrid model where potentially quite small institutions, fintechs of various kinds, will be able to take advantage of our opportunities to connect their systems and allow their customers to move money around. So I think, well, I don't want to use a word like democratic, but our idea, as I say, is in common with the general philosophy of Level 1 and the Mojaloop as a whole, we want to be able to allow small institutions to take part in the 3PPI facilities that Mojaloop offers. So I think those are the main similarities and differences with UPI.
Thank you, Michael and Luis. Simeon, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I think I have room for just one more question, if there is a question. Nope, if there isn't, thank you so much to the PSP team.
Simeon, can we encourage everyone to visit the sandbox.mojaloop.io site? Thank you.
Yes, there's a link in the chat there for you. Please check out the Mojaloop sandbox, sandbox.mojaloop.io when you get a chance. There's some excellent PSP resources in there that are worth playing around with.